Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Good Saturday morning to you. Mike Gross, Mike Bauer, Jackson Groff. Back at it, Casino, Arizona, the CAZ Sports Bar, hanging out here till 1 o'clock. Come on out and see us. Jackson and I already took care of business.
Welcome back.
It's good to be here.
It's been a while.
It's good to be here. Took a couple weeks off, did a little traveling, but it's good to be here. Missed you guys. Thanks for holding down the fort, but great 2 hours coming up. We're going to talk a lot of sports wagering. We're at the Sportsbook here at CAZ Sports Bar. We want to get into that right out of the chute. But we're glad you're back. But before we do that, we always have to, and I don't care. Like, the suit's back in the corporate office. They can say what they want. The menu here. The menu.
Unreal.
We've been here for a little while. You're doing all the work. I'm just sitting here getting ready to do the radio show. But we already ate breakfast, and I cannot stress this enough. The breakfast sandwich. Yeah, it's available on Saturday and Sundays. Get the breakfast sandwich.
Breakfast sandwich is very good. I decided to get a new item. I decided to spread my wings and attack the menu in a different avenue. I decided to go with the breakfast burrito. Not going to lie, not as good as the sandwich. So the sandwich beats the breakfast burrito currently. They also got steak and eggs, and they also have omelets here at the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. Don't miss out.
Great food and drink specials all the time, and great staff out here at CAZ Sports Bar. Not only the wait staff, the bar staff taking care of you, but here at the Sportsbook, the windows are open. They open up before the early games, an hour before those early games, every Saturday, Sunday. So if you're out and about looking for a great place to watch football, to watch Major League Baseball playoffs, CAZ Sports Bar, the Sportsbook is it. And if you don't need the window, if you're an expert, you know what you're doing, the kiosk, self-serve kiosk around the corner, they're open 24/7. You go up there, take care of business yourself. You're in, you're out, and the Sportsbook will hook you up that way. So CAZ Sports Bar, the Sportsbook, get out here, see them, great staff, and we'll be here till 1 o'clock.
I'm excited. Great show today. We got to start off, as always, with the opening line. First, opening line, obviously, Mike Gross is back, so we got to talk Michigan football right now. Michigan's up 16-14. Number 5 ranked Michigan against number 10 Penn State. But Penn State is driving currently right now. Sean Clifford and the boys looking to get on the board against the Wolverines.
Here's the thing: if they blocked out the score and you just looked at the box score, you'd be like, "Damn, Michigan's dominating this thing." Michigan is absolutely dominating. They're not. When you settle for field goals, you're going to be in trouble against a good team like Penn State.
And the crazy thing about Penn State is they only had one first down in the first half. They had 2 touchdowns, one defensive touchdown and 1 running touchdown as well. But when you look at the opening line here, Gross, you got Michigan -7 right now. That's currently not in their favor. And then the over-under is 50.5. So we could see some scoring in the second half, but right now it's looking pretty good.
Well, these are 2 good defensive teams. And so you look at that 50, what'd you say, 55.5?
50, yeah, 50.5.
50.5. That's going to be a tough number to get to as they sit at 30 right now. As you said, Penn State driving. But Michigan, when they write the final game story on this one, you hear it all the time. You have these long sustained drives, and you settle for field goals against a good team. That's going to be a trouble in the long run. But 2 undefeated teams doing battle there in Ann Arbor. And I saw it coming in, Jackson. We were getting ready to do the show. 5 games featuring 2 top 25 teams this week. A great lineup of games, all up and down. And for me, people that have listened to this for a while, they know I'm gonna be a distracted radio host, which is a bad way to do it. Fortunately, the Michigan Penn State, great TVs here. Michigan Penn State game is way out there, and so it's hard for me to see.
Yeah, and it's also right behind you as well, which is great by the CAZ Sports Bar to kind of put it right behind you so you can focus on the show. But that's one of many few games, folks. The 9 a.m. slate, the 12:30 slate, and then the 4:30 slate. You got big time games, top 10 games in each of those slates. Kansas right now down 14, number 19 Kansas to unranked Oklahoma. If you had a bet with the over on this one, the over was 62 points. Gross, they're at 56 points
halftime,
and it's halftime.
Yeah.
So cash out that bet.
I feel so bad for Kansas fans because this was turning out to be a magical season. It had the possibility, and way back in the day, the early iteration of the show, whatever it was, I don't remember the name of it at the time, but Jeff Dean, Big Jeff, and I did a radio show together, and we'd go into sports bars around town about this time every Saturday, and the TV would be on, and the early Big 12 game would be on, and we had a segment called "Who's Kansas Losing to this week?" Because it was such an average, below-average pedestrian football team.
Their coach was Les Miles too,
and the turnaround, and to lose your starting quarterback is so unfortunate. To, like I said, what was a really, really great start to this season for the Jayhawks, and it's always great to see new blood come in. But like you said, that over-under is going to get obliterated in that game.
Yeah, I still think Kansas has an opportunity here to come back in this game. They didn't start out with the ball, so they get the ball in the second half. Jason Bean, their backup quarterback, was actually the starting quarterback last year, and then Jalen Daniels took over, and obviously he took over this season.
Yep.
Heisman campaign, unfortunately, came up a little short as he's out for the year with a right shoulder injury. But, I mean, you never know with the Jayhawks right now. We've seen this Oklahoma team down the stretch not hold up and kind of get lackadaisical, I guess. So, moving on to some of the other games. Illinois, 20-14, number 24, Illinois, over Minnesota. Illinois was the underdog in this game. 6.5 is what the spread was in favor of Minnesota, and the over-under 39.5, currently at 34.
Yep. Hey, at 12:30, get the batteries checked in the remote because you've got 3 games kicking off at 12:30 featuring top 25 teams playing each other. You've got Alabama, Tennessee, which is going to be awesome, and Alabama's a 7-point favorite in that one in Knoxville. ESPN had their game day show there. It was hilarious this morning.
Pat McAfee jumping off for the yachts.
You said something about Pat McAfee at the very start of the season, and I said, well, when Lee Corso's ready to step away. But more and more, Pat McAfee he's growing on me on that show.
Well, he's hilarious because, one, he's himself. 2, I think he's also knowledgeable of college football just a little bit as well. Like some of his points he had today, I was a fan of. But I think he's one of those up-and-coming stars in the media world, and he's kind of transitioning people to not be, I don't want to say professional, but more be yourself more than anything. Like, I don't know if you saw that Deion Sanders video the other day. Yep. He was with the reporter, and he was just telling him, hey, be yourself. Like, you don't have to be all professional, having the mic. Hello, Gross. What do you think about this game? Yep. Just be yourself, lackadaisical, and everything will come in for fruition. And it's cool to see Pat McAfee like this. I think he's going to transition into the headgear tradition as Lee Corso's getting older. You saw he was out for 2 weeks, but man, the yacht, the overalls, and then him leading the band with Peyton Manning was a great college football
and just when they're doing their picks, the fact the way he talks to Peyton Manning, like Peyton Manning is a superstar in every sense of the word. There's no deference there by Pat McAfee because they were in locker rooms together. They played together. They know each other. Yeah. They say he talked about my teammate with the big cranium. Like, it was so funny, and I'm starting to come around to your way of thinking. All right, also at 12:30, Oklahoma State and TCU. Ooh. And you've got Oklahoma State as a 4-point underdog in Fort Worth today against TCU. That's number 8 Oklahoma State, number 13 TCU.
Over under 68.5, which tells you that both teams cannot play any defense. I think it's going to be 75 points. I think it's going to be a shootout like this Kansas-Oklahoma game. But I want to talk about the 3 Alabama, 6 Tennessee real quick. Yep. Alabama, 6th ranked defense versus the number 2 offense in the FBS, Tennessee. Look out for that game. Hendon Hooker, Heisman candidate, number 1 for me at quarterback. Jahmyr Gibbs, running back for Alabama, will be a key player for them. Number 1 in yards per carry this season. It's going to be a great game, folks. It kicks off at 12:30, which, like you said about Michigan being distracted, I'm going to be a little distracted watching that game during this broadcast.
And then the third 12:30 game that kicks off Jackson is North Carolina State at Syracuse. You got a 15-18 matchup there. Most weeks that would be a great matchup, but it kind of gets lost in the shuffle with everything else that's going on this week. The 2 games we just talked about. But you look at that one from Syracuse, the Orange, a 3.5-point favorite over NC State.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think the line's going to move more as Devin Leary, NC State's quarterback, just got pronounced hurt, and he will not be starting today. He's one of the top quarterbacks heading into this year's draft. So it'll be a tough matchup for NC State. 2 back-to-back losses in close fashions against Wake Forest. They beat Wake Forest, but they lost to Clemson. We'll see. I like Syracuse in this one, the home team. They're undefeated. This Syracuse team is pretty good.
Devin Leary, as you said, out for the remainder of the season.
Oh, the season.
Torn pectoral muscle surgery, and, there's no damage to his shoulder, they're saying. He's expected to make a full recovery. James Andrews, the renowned Dr. James Andrews, will do the surgery. But, again, that's a definite blow to NC State. And certainly, to your point, here's a kid that was a top draft pick potentially, and that's going to obviously impact that one.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is that's the slate at 12:30. Okay, maybe there's no more games at night. Maybe I can just chill on my couch and watch some Netflix.
Yeah.
No, folks. There's 2 games going on at 4:30 and 5 that we'll talk about right now.
Yeah, we've got a couple, again, in the SEC, Mississippi State and Kentucky. We saw Mississippi State in Tucson earlier in this year where the Wildcats hung early with the Bulldogs. This is a decent team that Mississippi State has right now, and they're on the road, hostile territory, playing Kentucky.
You want to talk about Will Rogers, their quarterback? 22 touchdowns, 2,110 yards in 6 games. That's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Will Rogers could be, if Bama doesn't lose this game against Tennessee, they got to play Mississippi State next week at Alabama. That'll be a tough game for the Crimson Tide.
Easy to hate on the SEC, but when you see games like this is not even the marquee game in this conference this week. And then lastly, game at 5 on Fox. Number 7, USC at number 22. Of course, the number 7 team is the higher is the favorite, right? I mean, you look at this like.
Apparently not this week. Apparently they got Utah minus 3.5 here. I don't know why this is. I'm interested to talk to Marco D'Angelo as we have him on every single week at 12:30. They kind of talk about why Utah is favored in this matchup, and also over under 65 here.
Yep.
I think it's a little too high for me personally.
All right, we'll step aside here, take care of some business. On the other side, we'll do a deeper dive into some of the things we've been talking about already. Ryan's back in the studio, keeping us on task. We appreciate him. We'll step aside. Be right back on Fox Sports 910.
Fox Sports 910.
Rainy Saturday here in the Valley. Come on out and hang out with us at CAZ Sports Bar at Casino, Arizona. The windows are open. They've got a great team in place to take care of you. We've been every one of the lines that we talked about in our opening segment came right off the sheets that we get at the Sportsbook here.
Oh, love it.
At Casino, Arizona. And the self-serve kiosk. Now, I did something that I promised that I was going to do a couple weeks ago when we started this.
Okay.
Regular listeners of the program know that we have Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com. He comes on with us every week, and he picks a college game and picks a pro game.
He's awesome.
And I said, I'm going to get some cash.
Yep.
Put it in my pocket.
Smart.
And whatever Marco tells us to do, I'm going to get up and go to the window and do exactly what Marco said.
So you're going to put your money where his mouth is.
Absolutely. And by the time this is over, I'll be able to retire.
I trust Marco. Why you get that much money?
Wait a sec. We're losing you? You're retiring?
It's possible.
Oh, man.
So I will do that because Marco's that good, and the team here at the CAZ Sports Bar Sportsbook is that good.
Love it. Marco, last week he had a couple winners for you, too. He had BYU, Notre Dame. He had the Eagles, Cardinals, both winners for Marco's picks last week. So another perfect week for Marco. He's not undefeated this year. He's had a couple losses, but here's the thing. He's winning. He's winning right now on the season. He just hooked you up with another couple winners. And I followed his advice. I put money on Notre Dame. I can't stand Notre Dame. Of all the teams in college football, my least favorite non-Arizona Wildcat team is Notre Dame. And I was watching that game
intently.
Let's go Irish, go Notre Dame, go Notre Dame, go Catholic Jesus over Mormon Jesus. I was rooting for Notre Dame because I had money on them.
So
thank you, Mark.
You guys know I was out the last couple of weeks, and I had the rock issue when I was in New Mexico. I didn't use my app before I left the borders of Arizona, and I got into New Mexico. I'm like, darn it, I forgot to, and I don't even remember. It was a couple weeks, 2 Saturdays ago. I can't even remember what I was going to do. And I logged in, and they're like, you are not in the state of Arizona. You'll no longer be able to partake.
Hey, I got some advice for you, though. Here's what you do.
Do it before you leave?
You call us, and we'll just walk right up to the windows, and we'll spot you a couple $2 here. You know, I mean, maybe I can't afford to wager at Mike Gross type levels, but I could go walk over to the ATM. I could get some cash. I could walk right up to the window.
What are Mike Gross levels?
I don't know. I just, money bags gross over here,
Well, you heard it. I'm going to try to wager enough to retire.
He is the leader right now in our picks.
Run down our picks there, Jackson.
Well, I had a bad week last week, 0-3, unfortunately.
You didn't have to bring it up. I was going to not talk.
Well, Hudzo's last 8-13. I'm 9-14-1, which I don't understand the one.
Push.
It's a push. Because there was a game earlier this season. It was the first week where there wasn't a hook. There wasn't a 0.5. So we pushed it.
Okay.
So we all pushed on the same game.
Bauer's at 12-11-1, and then you're at 11-12-1. So Bauer is currently in the lead right now, but it's anyone's game. It's a long season.
Oregon got me last week. Oregon covered at Arizona by a lot. And then I went and I got it only by a half point because it was 14-10 at half. But I had Philly covering the 3.5 first half on that one. And then I think we all lost Washington. Our guy, Jeff Hoodzow, he called it. He actually called the outright victory, too. He had ASU winning plus 13.5. And he said, hey, look, I'm going to take it outright. And he had that. So even though he only had one win out of his 3 picks last week, it should count for like 5.
So I share with you guys some information that I get every week through the wonder of email.
Yeah, you got some wise guys that send you some notes. I like it.
And some notes. Let's kick a couple of these around. James Madison,
the human being, the former president.
Now
just one guy.
Now a very good college football team. James Madison.
I just thought it was one dude named
is
James
the
Madison.
only team that is undefeated against the spread this season at 5-0.
Yeah, and they're currently, I believe it's 13.5 right now against Georgia Southern today at Georgia Southern. I mean, I like it. I'll go.
Are they the Dukes? I was going to say they're the Dukes, right?
Yeah. And the thing that's remarkable to me is that we're sitting here in 2022 talking about James Madison against the spread. I mean, this is a team a couple years ago. They were an FCS team, and they're making the move up, and it's paying off big time for the Dukes. All right. The biggest line movements thus far since the opening week 6 lines came out. Arkansas BYU went from BYU -3 to a pick'em, which of course would be a 3-point swing on that one. And Jackson and I were talking about this before I went on the air, and I know BYU is trying to become the Notre Dame of the West or the Mountain West, wherever you want to call them.
I mean, they just lost to the Notre Dame of
They
Notre
did.
Dame.
But, they're scheduling these games. I don't know that if I'm an athletic director at an SEC school of Big Ten, I don't know that I want any part of BYU and going to Provo, Utah. And the fact that Arkansas is in Provo today, there's a couple really good college football games in the state of Utah today. I think that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, it's tough because Arkansas doesn't have their starting quarterback. They've lost 3 straight. They were off to a hot start, so now they're playing at BYU. Don't really like Arkansas in this matchup.
Are there enough people in Utah to actually have like a traffic issue in between Provo and Salt Lake? Because that's a busy college football day. I don't know if there's enough people in Utah to actually have traffic though.
Minnesota, Illinois went from Minnesota at -3 to -6. Again, a 3-point swing. That game's underway. Minnesota's losing 20-14. And I'm going to say it. Is there a more overrated coach in college football than PJ Fleck?
I know you love PJ Fleck.
You did say that like at the beginning of the season.
Yep.
Which is
Come
crazy.
on. Row the boat. 4-1, and they got destroyed. Was it? Who beat them last week? Somebody beat them.
It was Purdue.
Purdue beat them last week. 23-14, Illinois over row your boat early in the fourth quarter.
The fighting PJ Flex.
How do I really feel?
Yeah, Minnesota, Illinois. Can I just have like the under on that? Can I pay to not watch that game?
Yeah,
that sounds like terrible football. Illinois versus Minnesota. Good God.
The over under in that game was 39.5.
No,
actually.
the over under on that was 12 probably.
It's not Thursday night football.
Oh my goodness.
All right, lastly on this one, Utah State, Colorado State went
Stupid
from
Bears.
Utah State -5 to -11.5. Again, a 3-point swing on that one. And before we talk about that specifically, if there's a worse duo, big time, I'll use the air quotes, college football duo in a state, besides Colorado State, I'd like to know what it is.
Oh my! I
mean, Arizona State. No. Colorado wins that one.
Colorado
wins that one.
Colorado State is awful, and Colorado is worse. I was driving on I-25 in New Mexico after Arizona beat Colorado, and I saw the Colorado football semi cruising up, headed back to Boulder, and I booed them. I said, "You guys are terrible." I booed the truck just to make a point about how bad Colorado football is.
It blows my mind how many national games that Colorado and Colorado State get each week. I feel like I'm always seeing them late night on CBS Sports Network or on ESPN 4, 5, 6, 7.
They're definitely not on national right now because they're scoreless at home in Boulder against Cal on the elusive Pac-12 networks, which are still a thing.
I'm talking Colorado State.
Oh, yeah.
You know why it is.
They are because they play on a Friday night.
Or a Thursday night or a Tuesday night.
Exactly.
Mountain West will play a football game.
Good for them, though.
Wherever you want them to play.
Hey, you want us on TV? Let's go.
Colorado State, Utah State's on the CBS Sports Network this week. Utah State is the favorite, as we said. 45.5 is the over-under. Utah State will probably get that on their own.
Hey, the Rams and Colorado, they were the last 2 winless teams in the country, and then Colorado State won last Friday night. They beat Jay Norvell revenge game against Nevada, and now Colorado, not just the only winless team in the state of Colorado, they are the only winless FBS team in the entire country. Every other team, if you think of any team that you think is a joke, how bad could they be, this, that, the other, every other team has at least 1 win. Colorado is 0-5 right now. And they're hosting Cal. It's potentially a winnable game, but let's be honest, Colorado's terrible.
And real quickly before you blow up my phone, Air Force is good. They're 4-2. They already beat Army or Navy. They beat one of them. And so they have one more game to win the Commander-in-Chief trophy this year. So Colorado fans, I know that Air Force is in Colorado, and I know that they're a decent team.
But they have a win.
They have 4 wins, actually.
They've got a bunch of wins. They're stacked wins.
It sucks that Air Force has that recruiting violation stuff going on with them right now too. I feel like they should not.
How do you
come on?
How do you violate rules when you're recruiting at an academy?
Unreal. I don't get it. They're serving our country. Give them a break.
They beat Navy 13-10. They've got Army coming up the first Saturday of November. That game is in Colorado Springs, so we'll see. All right, we'll step aside here. Just getting started from the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. Mike Bauer, Mike Gross, Jackson Groff taking up to 1 o'clock. We'll be right back.
Take the points. Back to Take the Points, powered by the Sports CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Back at CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona. My goodness. Mike Bauer, Mike Gross, Jackson Groff, take you up to 1 o'clock today. Quick look at the college football scoreboard before we get into some NFL. Michigan just scored again, Jackson, another field goal, but they lead Penn State 31. Oh, man, that was a touchdown, my bad. 31-17, halfway through the third period there in, where is Mississippi? Not
Mississippi.
What city?
Isn't Ann Arbor?
Ole
No,
Miss?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is in Oxford, Mississippi.
Oxford, Mississippi,
We're at
31-24.
the Grove now.
Ole Miss over Auburn.
Get some hot toddies there. Let's go.
The disappointing Oklahoma Sooners 42-21 over Kansas midway through the third on that one.
Yeah, it shows you how valuable their quarterback is. He's 327 yards passing, one touchdown on the run as well.
Look, it's. I mean, we're only for them 6 games. This is the 7th game of the season. But if you're Brett Venables, this wasn't a must-win game. But this was a situation where you go, look, you're on the ropes as a head coach there in Oklahoma, a guy that for a long time was the DC there, that was the coach in waiting under Bob Stoops. Now that Lincoln Riley leaves and this team comes out and gets absolutely boat raced, obliterated, they got destroyed last week in the Red River. You got to bounce back this week. This was, again, not a must win, but this was a big game for Brett Venables there in Oklahoma. And so far, they're showing out.
Well, especially in the Big 12, too. I mean, they went 3-0 non-conference and then lose 3 straight Big 12 games. Not a good look for Oklahoma. This good look here today, though.
Texas 17-14 over Iowa State from Austin, and Bijan Robinson, Tucson product, 20 carries, 104 yards there. And then finally, Illinois, Minnesota, 23-14, fourth quarter, the Fighting Illini over Minnesota. Great weekend.
Illinois opened up a 3.5-point dog in that one. It moved up to 4.5, and so there's a lot of value on the board there for anybody that is crazy enough to bet in the Illinois-Minnesota football. Brett Bielema over there with the Illini.
Great weekend in the college football game. Also, the NFL, some absolutely outstanding games. If you factor out the Thursday night, back-to-back Thursday nights.
Hey, now.
Amazon, I wonder if they're going to use the barcode to return their deal that they have with the NFL.
Well, and it sucks, too, because I love the broadcast. I love who they have on the pregame, postgame show. I love all of it. It just sucks that the football is not good.
You were talking about Pat McAfee earlier. Just be yourself.
He's
Al
great.
Michaels is being himself now.
I love it.
Al Michaels, he cares not who he pisses off on that broadcast. He went in on Daniel Snyder. He went in on
he went in on Dan Snyder.
Yeah,
I love it.
He did, and then they had the live shot of Dan Snyder looking disheveled up there in the booth, or not in the booth, in the suite.
I can't wait till that bomb explodes on the NFL. It's going to be awesome.
The best part about that, when Al Michaels was talking about Dan Snyder, is he was expecting Kirk to kind of, chip in something.
Yep.
And immediately Kirk just starts going back to the game. He's like, I'm not going to associate myself with this.
Yep.
I'm not touching it.
Yeah, you sir are in essential not retirement for Al Michaels because he's still a tremendous broadcaster, but you sir have lived an incredibly full life. He goes, I'm still a young guy. I got a long career ahead of me. I'm not gonna put that out there, but a great broadcast, 2 weeks of terrible games, and as a diehard Chicago Bears fan, I am very angry at the referees for not calling a pass interference on 3rd down. I don't know how you could put a guy in an arm bar and not get a PI call. Referees, a bunch of garbage over there.
It's all good.
Yeah,
that's trash.
That's the yeah. All right, NFL games this week. The games are so good this week that the Bills-Chiefs is not a primetime game. That's how good the games are. You've got primetime games. You just had the Thursday night game we talked about. Then you've got the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think everybody knew the Bills and Chiefs would be a good game. I don't know that anybody expected this Sunday night game to be 4-1 against 5-0.
Let's go Cooper Rush, baby.
The pride of Grand Rapids, Michigan, I think is where he's from.
Yeah.
Somewhere like that. But and then the Arizona Cardinals 2-3 in their pre-DeAndre Hopkins portion of the schedule.
It's almost over.
They're at Lumen Field in Seattle against the Seahawks. Cardinals 2.5-point favorites. I think this over/under is way, 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 way too low. And I know I said I was going to take Marco's advice. He better give me the over in this game because I just might supersede him when I go to the window here at the Sportsbook.
Really? Okay.
Doesn't that number feel low for these two teams?
Yeah.
the Seattle defense is miserable.
The only thing I think why it's so low is because the Cardinals haven't scored a single point in the first quarter. That might be a reason why.
It might be, but
Did you guys see? So I was covering the game last week for Sirius XM Radio, and I'm breaking down the stats. And I don't know if you guys saw my tweet. I put it out there. The first quarter, they haven't scored a point in the first quarter this year. They haven't scored an offensive. The last time they scored a point in the first quarter was week 18 of last year. It was a defensive scoop and score for Zach Allen. That was against the Seahawks. The week before, they had a field goal in the first quarter. So it hasn't been since Christmas of last year.
Wow.
Against the Colts on that Christmas Day game. It hasn't been since Christmas of last year that this team had an offensive touchdown in the first quarter. So far, they've pitched an over, a shutout for themselves this year. But in terms of actually, it was the last couple games of last year, they still haven't got it done off to an early start. And for the Cardinals, to go on the road and silence the crowd at Lumen Field, the 12th man, or the 12s, whatever you want to call them. But the Cardinals have been laying goose eggs to start off games. And, last week didn't change anything. They came out and threw up another 0 on the board.
The Cardinals have more wins at Lumen Field than any other team in the NFL since it opened at 9, and the Cardinals are 5-2 at Seattle dating back to 2015. So if you're going to fix it, the combination of a facility where you play well and the Seattle Seahawks defense might be the recipe to get it done for the Cardinals. Now, you're going to do it without James Conner, apparently. He's got the rib issue. So Eno Benjamin takes center stage, but he's shown that he's up to the task for sure. And that's why, I like I said, and when I say I like the over 50.5, it's not necessarily because of the Cardinals, because everything you said is absolutely true. It's just if you look at this Seattle defense, it's awful. It is awful. Now, on the flip side, Seattle offensively, Russell who? The problem with the Seahawks this year is not
Geno.
Is not the quarterback position.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not the quarterback position. Geno Smith is playing out of his mind, and they're scoring points.
Yeah,
So,
you mentioned Geno Smith. The over-under right now for him passing yards is at 269.5 right now for over-under for Geno Smith. That's here at the CAZ Sports Bar, Casino Arizona Sportsbook, where you can bet that as well. But I think the biggest thing for the Cardinals defensively will be able to contain Geno Smith, a player that I think is destined for a great game that's been quiet this year. Marcus Golden has been super quiet this season. And I think this is the game that he steps up and becomes that dog. What was his nickname again? I forget.
Junkyard Dog.
Junkyard Dog.
and
yeah.
if you like those player props, I get that one. And Tyler Lockett always kills the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And I don't see any reason why that would change. But offensively, the last 3 games for the Seahawks, 23 points, 48 points, 32 points. So this is a team, despite a poor defense, that offense just keeps chugging along. So
yeah, Seahawks went into New Orleans, a week after escaping in Detroit, 48-45 winners. Really, really good for the overbettors in that one. Again, for the overbettors last week, fourth quarter rally came just short. They lost 39-32 in New Orleans. But, you mentioned the defense, 958 total yards in the past 2 games for this defense. So they've allowed almost 1,000 yards in the last 2 games.
Wow.
Dead last in the league in yards allowed per game. And they're giving up guys 30.8 points per game, which is next to last in the entire NFL, 30.8 points per game. So, when you take a look at the over-under, and it's sitting right there, about 51, 51.5, 52 as the line moves. Maybe that is a good over-bet there, Grosser. You said you liked it.
I like it, and like I said, it's because, like I said, everything you said about the Cardinals offense, particularly the Cardinals offense early, has been, you're 100% right. But they haven't seen a defense like this Seahawks defense yet. In the games they've played. But you go back to it, Jackson, some of the sites you can do those player bets, props, either one of these Seattle wide receivers. Tyler Lockett, in his history has had some huge games against the Cardinals. And DK Metcalf is just a freak. So
yeah, so Tyler Lockett right now over under 68.5 yards. I think that's pretty
halftime yardage,
pretty low for him. And then DK has 69.5, which is crazy how he's above Tyler Lockett. Look out for Tyler Lockett and going against his defense. Hopefully Byron Murphy plays as well.
How underrated is Tyler Lockett?
So underrated.
I mean,
so underrated.
He just does it quietly, and I like that one a lot. So Cardinals and the Seahawks tomorrow, and again, we call it the pre-DeAndre Hopkins portion of the schedule wraps up.
Cardinals and the Seahawks, that game could actually move as well if there is a home playoff game for Seattle. For the Mariners, that game could shift. Tomorrow, we got a whole slate of MLB playoff games. I'm not going to talk about the odds, but you guys can.
Well, 107 first pitch from Seattle. So game 3, They moved to Seattle for that one. And Houston is favored in that one. And I don't think there's going to be a game 4. And I think we're safe with the original kick time.
But that is the official. So
yes.
The NFL, I got the press release this week. Everybody else obviously reporting on it. But the Cardinals, 105 start. It could move to 2:30 if they're hosting a playoff game that day. If you've ever been to Seattle, you know those two stadiums are right next to each other. They essentially share a parking lot with Safeco, and now it's called Lumen Field. I still got to get used to that one. But Safeco and Lumen are essentially sharing a parking lot right there. So if the Mariners do not host the game, it stays at 105. If the Mariners are hosting a game, it moves to 2:30 tomorrow.
CAZ Sports Bar, we've got lots of football on TV. We're talking football for the show, but they got you covered for baseball as well. If you want to come out here and take a look at those games, the Phillies and the Braves are underway already. As I said, coming up at 107, you've got the Astros and the Mariners, the Yankees and the Guardians at 4:30, and then the Dodgers and the Padres at 6:30. And I think if your name's not the Houston Astros, the worst thing you can have on your resume going into the postseason is 100 wins in the regular season. The Mets are already out.
Yep, see ya.
The Braves are on the rope. Well, actually, I think they were 99 wins, but you get my point. The Braves went over 100. The Yankees were 99 wins, and the Dodgers 111 wins on the ropes.
Let's go Padres. Let's go Friars. Let's go Fathers.
That's funny,
Beat LA, baby.
Yeah, beat LA.
Let's go.
Doesn't make the Diamondbacks look any better, but at least feel better about.
Don't care. Don't care. It doesn't make me feel any better. Another division rival, a team that I rooted against. That bum, that jerk, Manny Machado. Great. Let's go Padres, though. Also, Bomel, great dude, former D-backs manager. Got to root for Bomel. Matty Williams in that dugout, coaching third as well. So looking forward to hopefully watching Musgrove outduel Anderson. You got the Padres hosting the Dodgers. No goose at the last game.
Check his ears before the game, though.
Good. Let's go.
You know what would be nice is if how when you go to a job, you can do job shadowing to learn additional skills. And I'd like Ken Kendrick to go sit in the box with the Padres owner. Because I get it. You're never going to spend like the Dodgers. But how do the Padres do it? That's not a big market.
They spent a lot of money, though.
They spent a lot of money. And guess what? Their fans are watching postseason baseball. The Diamondbacks spend
the Mets fans aren't right now, though, and they had the number one baseball.
Well, that's how baseball works. The Diamondbacks payroll is lower than the Coyotes, I think.
That's hyperbole, sir. That is not true because the Coyotes have, I think they actually might pay. They might pay their players in ASU hockey tickets.
Not true.
Be like, hey, congratulations.
We'll Google that. We'll Google that during the break.
You get free ASU hockey tickets.
We'll step aside here. On the other side, your chance to win a gift card from Jeff Woodzo. That's coming up next, right here on Fox Sports 910.
CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports 97.
AZTV Channel 7 is your new home for college football here in Arizona, featuring schools that have produced some of the game's best athletes. Great football, high-energy halftime bands, and coverage you won't find on any other station. Every Saturday, college football on AZTV Channel 7. This week, Florida A&M and Grambling on AZTV Channel 7.
You know, every week at this time, it's your opportunity to win a $50 gift certificate to the best deal in town and get entered to win a 75-inch 4K smart TV. Best deal in town, located physically at 235 East Baseline Road in Tempe, online at bestdealaz.com. And I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm not looking forward to Jeff Hoodsout joining us today because I think he's going to be insufferable. And the reason why is because he made this pick last week. You guys go ahead and fire away the audio there.
You guys know the last 4 games between these two, the underdog has covered the last 4. So I think ASU is going to win this game outright. And if you followed my picks this year, you know how terrible I am. But take the points. ASU plus 13.5.
Wow. He's going to take Marco's
You
job.
said win outright. You're calling for a Sun Devil victory?
You write it down. Write it down in pen. Don't write it in pencil. ASU is going to win tonight.
He got it. He said ASU is going to win today outright. Jeff Hoodsout. Now, you missed on your other 2 picks, but congratulations on getting that one right.
I'm not going to be insufferable, guys. I just want you guys to know that pen sales have been up throughout the valley with my win, and I have a lot of ink on the scoreboard this week, boys.
Hey, well, this week we've got 3 really good games. Jeff Hoodsout from Best Deal in Town. It's your place to get everything from sound bars to big screen TVs, speaker systems, all that good stuff. Best Deal in Town. Hey, Jeff, we're going to start things off with USC heading on the road to Salt Lake City. They take on number 20 Utah. Number 7, USC at number 20 Utah. Utah is, even though they're by rankings number 20, they are favored in this one. Utah minus 3.5, 65 is the total. What do you think, Jeff?
You know, anytime you go to Salt Lake City, you got to throw the record books away. I don't know what that even means, but I don't like USC. I love USC. I'm going to take the points. I think USC is going to win straight up, but I'm going to take the points and take USC.
All right, well, we're going to give our picks next hour, but Jeff's giving his right now. He's taking the points and USC, so that means he's getting 3.5 points. All right, speaking of 3.5 points, it's not there yet, but the Cardinals visiting the Seahawks. The Seahawks at home, they're getting 3 right now. The NFL doesn't like to get right around that number, but right now Seahawks plus 3, 50.5. What do you see, Jeff Hoodsout?
You know, my Manalytics have the Seahawks in this game. I'm going to take like the Mariners and the Seahawks combined. I think it's going to be a big weekend for Seattle. Take Seattle and the points.
Boo.
Seattle it's not often that Seattle is getting 3 points at home. It's also not often that their defense is this big. The best game on the NFL slate, the Bills at the Chiefs. Hoodsout. Chiefs, they're getting 2.5 at home.
You know, I think this is a game that Buffalo's been waiting for, and I think it's going to be a lot of points. But I like the Bills. I'm going to lay the points and take the Bills.
There you go. He's got USC, Seattle, and Buffalo. And your chance right now, call in 602-260-9191. Make your picks against Jeff. If you beat him, you get a $50 gift certificate. And no matter what, you're entered to win that 75-inch 4K smart TV from Best Deal in Town, bestdealaz.com.
That's going to do it for hour number 1. We'll step aside here, take care of some business. Don't forget, 12:30, Marco D'Angelo from wagertalk.com joins us. We'll be right back for hour number 2 from Casino, Arizona, the CAZ Sports Bar.
Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. The Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Hour number 2, sitting in CAZ Sports Bar, Casino, Arizona.
We're safe inside because there's thunder and lightning outside. It's a mess out there.
Crazy times. The Sportsbook, they're here for you. They got great attendance in place. And if you don't need help, the self-serve kiosk right around the corner here at the Sportsbook CAZ Sports Bar. And we'll get into that in just a minute. But I don't care. I said, suits and corporate, be darned. The menu here. You didn't partake this morning.
I mean, look, hey, I love hosting Backspin the Golf Show. It's a lot of fun to talk about golf, and there's a lot to talk about in the world of golf. 9 to 11 every Saturday morning. But I'm in studio talking about golf. Again, having a great time. But you guys are out here having a nosh. You guys are mowing down.
He already had a breakfast burrito. I had the breakfast sandwich. The lunch menu is amazing. I think what I'm going to have to do, and Jackson and I talked about this, I'm going to have to branch out a little bit. I might do the lobster roll next week.
Ooh. I was thinking the steak and eggs next time. That sounds good.
They got a full menu, great drink specials available. The CAZ Sports Bar, your place, not just when we're here. They're open 7 days a week. Showroom football, or it used to be showroom football. It's Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Monday Night Tailgate. Let's go.
Your chance to win cash just for watching football. The guys are here right where we're sitting, set up, do their show, and then they host the Monday night game here at the CAZ Sports Bar. Doors open at 3 o'clock every Monday evening. So come on out and see the guys. All right, we're back at it, and lots of great stuff to get to, and Jackson is going to give us an update on the Montana.
Yes, I've been wanting to know what's going on with the Montana Grizzlies.
Well, the Montana game just started. Montana against Idaho, but we're not focused on that, folks. We're focused on the top 25 games that are currently going on right now.
But we are the Arizona's foremost source of Montana football updates.
Oh, I know we are. We'll get into it. They just started. Don't worry, Montana fans. We'll give you an update in about 20 minutes or so. But
all right, Chris.
Michigan, number 5 Michigan, up 24-17 on number 10 Penn State. 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Looking good for those who had the spread there, which was 7 in favor of Michigan.
And what is that, 61?
It was 50.5, so it looks like they're at 51. So the over has hit for that game as well. And then you move on to Ole Miss, up 7 against Auburn right now, 38-31, driving, looking to score 7 or 3 there.
Blew up the over-under on that one, too. 55.5 was that one.
Oklahoma just ended the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, they're up 49-28, hammered the over. They just scored 21 more points combined in the third quarter. Next, Texas up 24-21. Iowa State looking to score here, down 3 with 3 minutes left.
Wait a minute. Our guy, Bijan Robinson, always get an update on the Arizona kids. 26 carries, 126 yards for the South Point product as he does his thing in Austin now.
And then lastly, the game of the week, Illinois, number 24, Illinois at Minnesota, up 26-14. They got the ball right now, 3rd and 11 on Illinois' 47-yard line. Minnesota just called a timeout, maybe trying to get some time on the clock, get 2 touchdowns, and come back in this game.
So, Minnesota, everybody's going all in on the Golden Gophers this year. They beat New Mexico State, Western Illinois, and Colorado to start the year.
But you're also going all in on them because the Big Ten West is atrocious.
And that's a great point. And they represent the Big Ten West very, very well.
But all they got to do is win a couple more games, and they're going to win the Big Ten West, which granted means they're going to get obliterated and embarrassed by either Michigan or Ohio State, or I guess
Iowa
maybe Penn State, but Michigan or Ohio State in the championship game. But yeah, the conference is still a thing in the Big Ten, and right now Illinois, Purdue, technically Nebraska's towards the top because they got a conference win, but
they got 2 conference wins.
I bet you USC, UCLA go to the Big Ten West. I bet you they bring both those schools in the West to balance it out.
They're gonna disband the divisions in the Big Ten.
I think they are too, because if
Yeah.
you're the Big Ten, you're doing this for one reason and one reason only: TV money.
Yep.
And there's no way you're going to park USC and UCLA in there to play Iowa and Wisconsin. You're going to want them to go to Ann Arbor. You're going to want them to go to Columbus. You're going to want them to go to State College on a regular basis.
And not
you're
just
going to
play Purdue and Iowa and Northwest. Well, Northwestern would probably move to the East in that case. But
can you
still.
imagine the Buckeyes making a trip every year, alternate between USC and UCLA? That's made for TV.
Yep. And that's why they're doing it. They're doing it to cash checks. So, but I mean, again, the West Division, right now, Illinois, Purdue. I mean, just think, look at these teams: Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Northwestern, and Iowa. Wisconsin not having a great season. Look, I mean, it is so stacked in the Big Ten for the East right now, with undefeated Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State atop that leaderboard right there in the East.
All right, back at the scoreboard.
Was that too much Big Ten football for you?
No, it isn't. Just trying to digest all of that, of course.
I'm just amazed that we're going to get an over in the Big Ten. Anytime Ohio State's not involved and there's an over, I'm impressed.
All right, looking at the we talked about this earlier. We get the news and the notes that we get sent to us. Just fascinating around the numbers.
No,
right?
some of the wise guys.
The scores, what the wise guys are doing, and what how some of this money is moving in college football. We looked at big line swings earlier, Jackson. What else is on that list that caught your eye?
Yeah, the things that caught my eye here, the two most wagered overs are Kansas at Oklahoma, which already hit. 71% of people went with the over 62.5. And the second one was Oklahoma State at TCU. 74% of people went with the over at 69. That game about to kick off at 12:30 here. And then
and before you do that,
nice.
That one's about ready to kick off. And, look, when they set the numbers, right, they do it to make money, right? And so they push that number up when you're approaching 70, and that's the most wagered one. So that to me, again, I'm not a wise guy, certainly, and not a smart guy either. You had a lot of upside on that number when you said it.
Yeah, and it's crazy, too. The most wagered under, Penn State, Michigan at 50.5, and that one was actually the over. It already hit just now. I believe they're at 51 points total.
You are correct. 51 points with 10 minutes to go in that one.
One of my favorite, just as we're talking about over-unders, guys, it's one of my favorite things to do is if you're fortunate enough to be able to come to a place like this and hang out and watch the games at a sports book, you could be sitting at a table or at the bar. Let's say that you saddle up to the bar here and you're enjoying one of the delicious drink specials. You're having some great food at the CAZ Sports Bar, but literally the dude to the left of you could have money on the over, and the lady to the right of you could have money on the under, and they're both watching the same game, and you're just cheering for points. It doesn't matter. I don't care who wins. I just need then it becomes a math problem of you just score. Because I remember years ago I went to a UNLV basketball game at there at Thomas and Mack. We were in Vegas, and I think it was actually ASU was playing in the Vegas Bowl. So we were in town, me and a bunch of buddies. We were being just hooligans and degenerates and all that good stuff. And I took the under on whatever UNLV basketball game, and my buddies had the over. And so I'm just cheering, miss it to both teams. And my friends are cheering, make it to both teams. They don't care who wins. They just wanted points, baby.
Speaking of degenerates, I have a similar Las Vegas story, but we got in late one night, and the only thing left on the board was NHL. And you talk about NHL numbers.
I mean, you're a hockey guy.
2.5, whatever. It's like, we're rooting for goals in hockey as well. So you can get it, and the numbers are out there. But the overs seem to have it, with the exception of what was the one that they missed on? Anyways,
it's really disappointing when you get the. Usually, I want points. If you get the under, that's just not fun. Come on now, it's good to cash.
Who cheers for defense?
Yeah, exactly. And another one that struck my eye here with the most wagered underdog was Kansas +9. 83% of people were on Kansas in this game. Currently, they are losing big by 15 now, actually.
49-34.
Hey, you never know, actually. Like I said, at halftime, Oklahoma might – I don't know. They might get too cozy with that lead there. And Kansas might come back in this one, but they're currently down 15.
Well, that's one of the things that, if you look at gambling as wagering as a whole, is a lot of times people bet you get a lean towards Cowboys, towards the Packers, towards teams that are popular, towards Alabama over Tennessee. You get a lean towards, and not just even teams with brand names, but a lot of times you get leans towards the numbers where people will see. We watch a football game and you see that little number next to a team's name and you go, USC is number 7. They're on the road at number 20, Utah. Shouldn't number 7 be favored at number 20? Wouldn't you think? And this is just, as you're looking, you go, hey, if their number is higher in the rankings, they should be favored. Meanwhile, the line's not there. The line's telling you the sports book here at Casino Arizona Sportsbook is telling you Utah's favored to win this game, even though USC has the bigger number. Because, hey, guess what? Just because they're getting votes in the AP and they're higher, Utah's at home. Utah's laying 3.5. So a lot of times you get distracted by either brand name recognition from a program, but also those all important numbers, which really, when it comes to wagering, completely irrelevant what a team's ranked. It's more important to look at the number in terms of where it started, where it's moved, and if you can get the breakdown, look at the breakdown of the amount of tickets versus the amount of money wagered. Because a lot of times, if there's more money wagered on a game, those are the pros. Those are the sharps making the bets, as opposed to the fans throwing down $10, $20, $5. If somebody comes in with a $100,000 bet,
whoops,
that's a professional,
Real quickly before we get out of this segment, let's look at the Pac-12. We haven't spent much time there today. Colorado actually leads California 3-0. The under is your play there. 3-0, 4:11 to go in the second quarter. Games yet to be played on the Pac-12 network coming up at 2:30. Arizona in Seattle to play Washington. Washington 14.5-point favorites. Notre Dame is an affiliate member of the ACC, but I think they've got like a partial membership to the Pac-12 as well, because they've got Stanford today in South Bend. 16.5 point favorites over the Cardinal. 54.5 is the over-under. The game we were just talking about, and we'll get Marco D'Angelo's thoughts on this one coming up later on today. USC in Salt Lake City, Utah, 3.5-point favorites. Over-under on that one at 65. And then the late game, which isn't really that late for the Pac-12 because we've got some teams on the bye this week. 6 o'clock on the Pac-12 network, Washington State, Oregon State. OSU a 3-point favorite, 51.5 on that one. We'll step aside here, take care of some business. Still to come at 12:30, our good friend Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com joins us. We'll step aside here, be right back from CAZ Sports Bar.
back to Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Coming up in our next segment, Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com joins us for his weekly visit, and we'll break down a college game and an NFL game with him. That's coming up. Before we do that, we're alternating back and forth. It's football season. It's so great. So great to be talking football.
May the gods bless it.
Absolutely. Jackson, our last segment, went over some of the interesting stats in college football. Got the same information for the NFL. And you look at the two most wagered unders this week. One of them I get, one of them I don't. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. 73% of the bets right now are on the under of 42. I kind of get that one. Indianapolis is just, they won game, but they're miserable and they can't score games. And Jacksonville is so much better. They're finally starting to wash Urban Meyer out of their system. And I think in the long run, they're going to kick themselves to see what a wasted year they had. 2.5 points favorite are the Colts at home against the Jaguars. But that under is the number that you're looking at, and 73% of the bettors are on that under 42. But it makes sense. That one absolutely makes sense. The one to me, guys, that I'm looking at, scratching my head a little bit, just because I have a feeling, and I know Dallas's defense is good, but that number of 42, 65% of the bettors are on that 42 or under that 42 number. I
think it's going to go over.
I think it's going to go over too.
I agree with you there. And some of the one of the top most wagered underdogs is actually Dallas +6.
That's the beauty of a brand, isn't it? It's that Dallas Cowboys.
That's what I was
brand.
saying last segment is that the Cowboys, Packers,
USC,
they always
Notre
times USC, Notre Dame, Alabama, they get public points, right? They get the benefit. Hey, it's the Cowboys. There's going to be a lot of public money on that. I'm not saying to not bet them, but the Eagles right now, going into the season, just the way in college football we have, preseason power rankings and stuff like that, is that the Buffalo Bills could be the best team in football. But right now, the Eagles are the best team in football. They're the only undefeated team.
That's what the record says.
They just went on the road against what's supposed to be a good football team in the Arizona Cardinals. That's still to be determined. But the Eagles are the best team in football right now. They are at home against a division rival with a backup quarterback. The cards are aligned for that. Are you kidding me?
What I don't understand is the second top most wagered underdog, Carolina +10 against at Rams. 64% of people are on Carolina. Well, why is that? Is it just because of the point spread, or maybe the Rams' offensive line not doing too hot? I think it's Stafford throwing interceptions.
I think it's a combination of all the above. There is something not right about the Rams this year. Super Bowl hangover, injuries, probably a little from column A, a little from column B. But you look at this Rams team, they very well could have lost to Atlanta a couple weeks ago in their stadium. You, I believe, were at the game, or were you traveling? Did you see the Rams and the Cardinals from the stadium in Glendale a couple weeks ago?
No, I wasn't there for that game. I was at a D-backs game that day, so I was at the ballpark.
As poorly as the Cardinals played in that game, they were trailing by a touchdown at the half, and they lost the game, I believe, by 8. And the Cardinals played an awful game. The Rams just didn't put them away. So, this Rams team, I still think they're excellent. I still think they get it together as the season goes along. But right now, something ain't right.
All right, so but you're looking at that number. You're looking at the Panthers. You're also looking at Walker at quarterback, not Baker the touchdown maker, because he's been awful this year. So you're getting an AAFL quarterback is taking this team to the defending champions. Are going all the way across the country. But guys, I got some numbers for you here. Okay. Thanks to the actionnetwork.com, they broke out the numbers. The first coaching change of the NFL season is Matt Rule out in Carolina. And, now I guess it's Steve Wilkes taking over. Former Arizona Cardinals head coach there takes over in Carolina for the meantime. So, according to the Action Network's database, 32 teams have fired their coach during the regular season since 2003. Those teams have gone 15-17 straight up. So if you're getting all those points and you're seeing teams that for whatever reason, after the coach gets let go, whether it's the very strange Urban Meyer situation, the very strange John Gruden situation over the last couple of years, or just Bill O'Brien, Dan Quinn, Ron Rivera, Jay Gruden, Mike McCarthy, recently fired coaches midseason, just being terrible at football, that's a pretty good number right there in terms of they're going 15-17 straight up. But against the spread, they're 17-15. John Gruden gets fired. The Raiders go and they win outright as 5-point dogs. The Texans get fire Bill O'Brien. They win outright. The Falcons did the same thing with Dan Quinn. They fired him. The next week, they won outright. So generally speaking, teams that fire their coach midseason aren't good. But if you're getting that many points, I mean,
well,
it's not a lot. Not a lot of times in the NFL you see that many points that you're getting handed in NFL games. So,
and you go back and look at how in the games that the Rams have won, it hasn't been dominating wins, right? So that 9.5.
Who they beat?
They beat the Falcons 31-27.
That's a terrible football team.
And the Cardinals, which are a very
we're learning about them.
They're a below average team right now.
Yes, that is true.
They're 20, so they won that game 20-12.
So on average, all those teams that I just told you guys, 32 teams since 2003, teams have gone 15-17 straight up, 17-15 against the spread. On average, those teams closed as 4-point underdogs. So what's that number again, Jackson?
10.
Okay.
That's a lot.
10's a lot bigger than 4. So that's in part the reason why you're seeing a lot of people jumping on that is, hey, after coaches get fired, the team comes together, right? A lot of times you see guys in the locker room, the leaders in that locker room will stand up and say, guys, we got to save face. Look, doesn't matter who the coach is. We got to go out there for our own pride and put a dub up on the board. And right now the Rams, they are paper tigers as defending champions. They're 2-3. And they look like, dare I say it, a bad football team, at least under average, below average.
Yeah.
Disappointing to say the least for them this year.
Did the Panthers take the ping pong table out of the locker room, though? That's what I want to know.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, but now, did you see that? Did you see the reason why?
I did see the reason why.
Because the Dolphins. Now you're alluding to the Dolphins. The Dolphins
yes.
take the Dolphins take the ping pong table out of the locker room. And head coach Mike McDaniel goes and says, I applaud the leaders on this team. I'm paraphrasing now, but he says, I applaud the leaders on this team to get the focus back to football because the Dolphins now 3-2 on the season, dealing with Tua being out.
Ugh.
Well, Tyreek Hill comes out and says, yeah, we had it removed because it was banged up and we're getting a new one.
It was banged up because they were taking their frustrations out on the ping pong table. Crazy stuff. We'll step aside here. No ping pong table for us to take our frustrations out.
I bet you Marco could give us lines on ping pong, though. I bet you he could.
Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com joins us next right here on Fox Sports 910.
Who's the lock? Who should you stay away from? Take the points. Powered by CAZ Sports Bar's resident handicapper, Mark D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com joins us now on Fox Sports 910.
Our favorite time of the week, we head to Las Vegas and welcome to the program our good friend and regular contributor, Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com. Follow him on Twitter at Marco in Vegas, the website WagerTalk.com. Marco joins us after another 2-0 week for our listeners last week. Marco, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Anytime we can go 2-0.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on fire for our listeners. We're going to give them the chance to get your knowledge here on a couple more games. And we'll start in the Pac-12. Yet another week where an Arizona team is not an enticing conversation for us to have. So we'll go to Salt Lake City, where you've got USC traveling to play Utah. And, you look at the records, you look at the rankings, and everything tells you USC is a better team. But then you look at the line, and then you see that Utah, 3.5-point favorite in this game later on today from Salt Lake City.
Well, you got the defending Pac-12 champ versus what everybody feels is going to be this year's Pac-12 champ, the way they're playing, and that's the USC Trojans with Lincoln Riley. And let's give Lincoln Riley credit. He got USC going, but, man, he knew when to get out of Dodge at Oklahoma, didn't he? So you look at this one, and you've got strength versus strength. And the strength for USC, obviously, is their offense. And they're going to be going against that Utah defense. And we talk about it a lot on the show. Utah is one of those teams that, unlike most of the teams in the Pac-12, is a very physical team. This is a team that is going to want to run the football today. USC has had a lot of success this year, both running and passing the football. What's contributed to them doing so well is even though they've got a high-octane offense and they're putting the ball all over the place, they have yet to have a turnover. Think about that. USC, 0 turnovers for the season. That's going to be tested today because they're going against the ball-hawking Utah defense who's got 13 takeaways on the year already. As I said, Utah's going to run the football probably 35 to 40 times in this game, and what they like to do is wear you down. A lot of teams come into Utah, and in that fourth quarter, after you face that punishing ground game, you wear down in the altitude. And they're not just a one-trick pony because Utah can throw the football as well, but that passing game is set up by their running game. Last week, UCLA had the better of Utah, but Utah's not the same team on the road as they are at home. Utah, the defending champs, still can get their season goal, and that season goal is to win the Pac-12 championship. They can get to the Pac-12 championship game if they win out, even though they lost last week to UCLA. I'm going to go with Utah to get the job done here. I like them at home. It's going to be a great game. I'm going to lay the 3.5. I'm calling it Utah 34-24. Let's go with the Utes.
Now, Marco, are the special helmets that Utah is wearing in your consideration for this pick?
Well, I tell you what, if they gave, talk about home field advantage and points and stuff, I think you got to give a half a point at least for those helmets. They're pretty cool.
They're pretty cool.
Well, the Arizona Cardinals actually last week broke out the black helmets, their special helmets, for the first time, and they covered. Now, they did lose, but they covered, and those 5 points helped, hopefully, some of our listeners cash some tickets at the windows, and you had the Cardinals covering that spread last week, so hopefully you helped some of our listeners get winners. They're going to be back to those boring white helmets this week as they go visit Seattle. But, Marco, as we head up to the Pacific Northwest, a very tough place to play. But our guy Mike Gross pointed out the fact that no team in recent memory has been as good as the Cardinals on the road in Seattle. So the Cardinals still looks like they're getting about, or it looks like they're laying about 3, 2.5, 3. That line's moving right around that field goal number. I think the Cardinals are at -3 at the Seahawks. How do you see this division rivalry game panning out tomorrow at whatever time it kicks off in Seattle?
Yeah, this is one of those games, and we talk about it every week. When we compare the lines here to Vegas to you guys there in Arizona, you're getting a little bit of bias there with the 3. It's still 2.5 across the board here in Vegas. Still, I'm going to lay it, whether we're laying 2.5 or 3. And you hit the nail on the head when you talked about Arizona and being on the road. Arizona under Kingsbury are now 19-8-1 against the spread on the road. When they're on the road and they're playing a team with a losing record, they're 13-4 straight up and 14-3 against the spread. Now, the one thing that Arizona's got to quit doing is they got to quit digging themselves into holes in the first half of games. That's been a trait all season long. This team can't get out of the gate. But I'll tell you what, if there was ever a team that is just what the doctor ordered to get an offense jump-started, it is this Seattle defense.
That's a good point.
This Seattle defense is bad, historically bad. They're allowing 430 yards per game, 6.6 yards per play, and 30.8 points per game. Now, if Arizona can't have success against this defense, then we got bigger problems in Arizona than we want to admit. Quarterback Kyler Murray needs a big game. The end of the game last week, the slide short of the first down, then the spike on third down, with 22 seconds left at 3rd and 1. They had to go for the field goal there, and then they missed it. This is a team that they should get out early on and not look back. Another thing, Murray, against this defense, I think he's going to have a big day, not only with his arm, but with his feet. Seattle, this defense is bad. They haven't faced, other than Mariota, when they faced Atlanta, a running quarterback that has the ability to, when a play breaks down, to take off and run the way Murray can. I think it's going to be a big part of the game tomorrow. Here is another trend that goes into that road scenario, and this is for this series specifically, and I had to look twice when I saw this one. This series, the visiting team between Arizona and Seattle, wherever it's at, is on a 14-2-1 against the spread run.
Wow.
Just bet the visiting team in the Arizona-Seattle series.
Wow.
Well, we're the visiting team tomorrow. We're putting our money on Arizona. I've got them winning 34-23, and that should get that offense jump-started that maybe gives them the wake-up call for the rest of the season.
Let's go.
And the 34-23 takes it over that over as well, which I think is I love that one as well. Hey, Marco, real quickly, before we let you get out of here, obviously you're based in Las Vegas. How are people feeling about Josh McDaniel and the Raiders right about now? They're on their bye week this week, but it's been a pretty disappointing start to the season up there.
Yeah, it has. And, man, people are scratching their head on that 2-point conversion Monday Night Football. It's a growing pattern in the NFL that all of these younger coaches doing things unorthodox with, 4th and 1, 4th and 2 on your own side of the field, going for it, making kinds of decisions. It's not good. Natives are getting a little bit restless. That would have been a huge win for Josh McDaniels. He got me the money. That's all I care about. It would have been nice to see the Raiders get the win as well. But you know what? Just like Arizona last week, out here in Vegas, for me, all I care about is the point spread. So we got it done. But if they get another loss or two, it's going to be tough because the success that, the Golden Knights had coming here right out of the gate. And we had a WNBA champion as well this year, the Lady Aces. So they're taking the back seat. And Mark Davis already owns one team that's successful. He owns the Las Vegas Aces, the women's basketball team. So the men better get their backsides in gear.
Better get it going. He's Marco D'Angelo. Follow him on Twitter at Marco in Vegas, and the website wagertalk.com. Baseball playoffs going on, college football, NFL, all
NHL season
NHL.
start. NBA's right around the corner.
Yep.
The content, Marco, from you guys at Wager Talk across all the social media platforms is amazing, and we love having you on every week. Let's do it again next Saturday.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Let's cash some tickets.
Let's go, baby.
Absolutely. Marco D'Angelo, wagertalk.com. And I always enjoy visiting with him. He's got USC Excuse me. He's got Utah
Yep.
over USC. Likes the Cardinals 34-23 over Seattle. And I said it at the start of the show. At the end of the day today, there's a line at the window right now.
There you go.
People cashing their tickets. I'm going to go over and I'm going to put some money on Utah. I'm going to put some money on the Cardinals. I'm going to put some money on the over. So I'm going to do.
Are you going to do a parlay or is
Are
this
you going to parlay those all
individual?
together?
You guys will tell me what to do during
Well,
the break.
I mean, you're definitely going to do a parlay unless you're a wuss.
I'm not a
I mean,
wuss.
if
I
you
am
don't-
not a wuss.
If you don't
Bauer.
believe in your picks,
They're not my picks. They're his picks.
then I
think
probably
you parlay it.
I mean, either that or you wuss out,
At least two of them. I think you parlay at least two out of the three.
or you could bet them all individually and do a parlay. Let's go. You feeling frisky?
I'm going to call Marco on the hotline. Marco, what do I do?
Well, based on Marco's picks, he's telling you to go do that. Let's go.
Is that what he said?
You should do
Come on, you got
four,
this.
4 bets, each one of those individual games, and parlay all 3 of them together, and then you get to retire because you're going to cash all those tickets right here
I'm
at
on
Casino
it.
Arizona.
God, you guys are bad influences here.
You're welcome.
I just want to have.
You're going to
fun
make
watching
some money
my
here.
games.
Let's go.
I'm not going to sleep at all now. All right, on the other side, we'll check the scoreboard one more time. College football games going final, the early games, and then we'll make our picks for the week before we wrap it up. Again, we're out here at the CAZ Sports Bar. I had a great time, and I'm not kidding when I said there's a line. A lot of people winning money here at Casino Arizona. Look at the line there, cashing their tickets from the early games. But we'll step aside one more time, come back, and wrap up today's show.
Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Hey, we'll remind you one more time that AZTV Channel 7 is your new home for college football here in Arizona, featuring schools that have produced some of the game's best athletes, great football, high-energy halftime bands, and coverage you won't find any other station. Tune in every week. College football on AZTV Channel 7. Thanks again to our friend Marco D'Angelo from WagerTalk.com. Follow him on Twitter at Marco in Vegas. Always enjoy our visits with him. And as we said a moment ago, games going final around college football before we make our picks. Michigan had a really, really good second half against Penn State. Yours truly was sweating it a little bit early on in that one, but Michigan pulls away, scores 25 points in the second half, 41-17. Michigan beats Penn State in Ann Arbor. Oklahoma pulls away from Kansas 52-42. They get their first win in the Big 12. Texas 24, Iowa State 21.
Close game.
And then the game of the day, as far as we're concerned, Illinois 26, Minnesota
Get out of here.
14. Minnesota, the mighty Golden Gophers, fall to 1-2 in the Big Ten West, or the Big Ten, but in the Western Conference.
Right.
The mighty Gophers. Golden Gophers. No?
Good. You love PJ Fleck so much, too.
Row the boat. I don't get it. All right, it's time for our picks, Bauer.
So
reset the where are we at standings wise?
All right, so we're all relatively bunched up,
except for Jackson.
We're relatively bunched up. Gross, you're 11-12 on the season. I'm 12-11. We all have a push as well. So 11-12-1, 12-11-1. Jackson, you're at 9-14-1. Our guy Jeff Hood's
Big
out.
week this week.
Best deal in town, bestdealaz.com. He makes the picks an hour ago at 11:45 every week. Jeff Hood's out, comes on. He picks 3 games. And the way it works is that if you pick 3 games and you beat him, guess what? You get a $50 gift certificate to the best deal in town. You get to, a $50 gift certificate for a TV. If you want a sound system, whatever you need, technology-wise, you want to get a new computer, they got you hooked up. Best deal in town. In person, you can go to 235 East Baseline, which is College and Baseline, southwest corner. Online, you can go to bestdealaz.com. But wait, there's more. Because everybody who gets in on the best deal picks of the week, you are also entered to win a 75-inch 4K smart TV from Best Deal in Town. So this week, Jeff Hood's out. He's got USC, Seattle, and Buffalo. We'll get to our picks in a sec. But last week, we all had Washington covering the 13.5. They did not win. They did not win by a single point. They lost to the Sun Devils. Go Devils. Good news for Sean Aguano getting his first win as the head coach of the Arizona State Sun Devils. They're off this week is ASU, but Washington didn't cover by any means, so we all lost that game.
Yep.
Grosser, you and I had Oregon covering. They went down into the Pueblo. They beat the heck out of Arizona. Jackson, you were taking the points on that. What's the name of the show? You took the points. Arizona plus 13.5. That wasn't a winner for you. And unfortunately, Jackson, you also had the loss on the over for Philly at Arizona, which I thought was a pretty good bet going in.
Thank you.
And those two teams just came out, and it was a offensive struggle throughout the course of, or a defensive showcase, if you will.
Yeah.
But over 48.5 didn't win. I had Philly minus 3.5 in the first half, and Gross, you unfortunately had Philly minus 5. The Cardinals did cover in that game, even though they did lose. So on tap today, we'll start things off. Marco D'Angelo just gave us his pick, USC at Utah. Jackson, let's start off with you. What do you think? USC is getting 3.5 points on the road. Number 7, USC getting 3.5 at number 20, Utah.
I still like USC plus 3.5 here. Now, I don't know if they're going to win this game, but I think they lose by at least 3 points if they do. The biggest thing to look out here, folks, is the defense on both sides of the ball. USC ranked 108th in run defense. You know, Utah loves to run the football. Look out for that. And then Utah, very bad passing defense. Look out for Jordan Addison and Mario Williams, receivers for USC to have a big day. A lot of weapons.
Yeah.
USC plus 3.5.
You know
Let's
what?
go.
I'm I'm fluctuating.
Are you flip-flopping over
I'm
here?
flip-flopping on this one.
Wow,
I wrote it down.
You'd make a great politician.
I did USC here.
It's crazy.
I wrote it down.
It's crazy because we put our picks in about 2 days ago, maybe even before the show, and then Gross over here.
I put them right up.
Hey, what he's doing is he's gathering all information available up until kickoff.
It's the vet move.
That's a smart better, smart wager. Is you get all the info you can.
And I wanted to go. I wanted to go USC until Marco came on and told me that I should go Utah.
He did. Marco's got Utah in this game. He's got Utah winning 34-24, which means not even close to the spread on that one.
And I'm going to go with Marco on that one. Give me Utah.
You're taking Utah?
Yep.
You got Utah minus 3.5 total in this game, 65 or so. USC likes to put up a lot of points. Guys, USC is 0-10 straight up, 1-9 against the spread in its last 10 as a road underdog. Utah has come back the last 5 games against the spread in their last 5 games following a loss. Now, Utah just went and lost. I think they're going to do it again. I think USC goes on the road. Look, Utah still has hopes of winning this conference. Great. USC still has hopes of running the table and going undefeated this season. USC and Trojan Nation going to go into Utah and get the win. Hey, I'm getting 3.5 free points too. I got Utah winning or USC winning outright. I'll take the free 3.5 points.
Can I change my mind? No, go ahead.
You're going to flip-flop over here? Come on now.
I can't flip-flop.
Again, good politician move there if you do. All right, so we'll save the Cardinals game for last. Guys, we're going to go to what by many is the game of the week, maybe the game of the year in the NFL. Yeah. The Bills at the Chiefs, both teams 4-1. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This doesn't happen often or ever. They're getting 2.5 points at home, but the Bills are a damn good football team. Jackson, where do we start?
Well, the thing here that's interesting, folks, Patrick Mahomes, this is the first time in his career that he's a home underdog.
That is correct, yeah.
First time in his career that he's a home underdog. I don't like betting on the spread or the money lines for both teams here. I'm going with the over 54. I think this is going to be a shootout. Bills don't really have the DBs that they used to have. Chiefs don't have very good DBs without Tyrann Mathieu, who left as well. You got a lot of 7th-rounders playing DBs on both sides. I think Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen have great days. Give me the over 54.
I think that this game, as you said, not the game of the day. Obviously, it's the game of the week. It very well could be the game of the year.
It was the game of the year last year in the playoffs.
And
that's
the playoff,
sure.
the replay of that, the last, what is that, like a minute and a half of that game into overtime? That's going to get replayed throughout the day tomorrow as the 3 games lead up.
Yeah.
But I like Kansas City at home. You're an underdog, and the things that Patrick Mahomes is doing right now.
Yep.
And I think the Cardinals got a dose of that. I mean, clearly the Chiefs are the better team, but you saw the way Kansas City played in week 1. That was to wash that whole thing. I just give me Kansas City. I'm a big fan right now.
Okay.
And you're getting points.
Points at home. First time in his career.
1 minute.
Take it.
Crazy.
All right, guys, I'm going to take the over 54 as well. I'm staying away because these are just two behemoths going up against each other. Mahomes an underdog just 8 times total in his career as a starter. Cardinals at the Seahawks.
Quickly.
We're getting the home +3.
Cardinals -3. Let's go.
Give me the over in this one.
Oh, he's got the over. We got it about 51 there, 50.5, 51. We'll take a look at what the final number is here at Casino Arizona. Look, I got the Cardinals winning. And covering. Give me Cardinals -3 on the road.
Don't forget Monday Night Football here at Casino Arizona at CAZ Sports Bar, the Monday Night Tailgate. Kickoff jackpot up to $700. Doors open at 4 o'clock. This week it's Denver and the Chargers. Monday Night Tailgate Football. Come on out, see the guys. Great food and drink specials right here from the CAZ Sports Bar. That's going to do it for us this week. Jackson Groff, Mike Bauer, Mike Gross. Thanks to the guys back in the studio. We'll see you next Saturday right here on Fox Sports 910.